Hello everyone, I'm your hostess with the mostest 8-second gaming, and it's been a while since our last dedicated controller tip, so I thought it was about time that we once again show some love to the roller players of the world and do a video based on that. So here you guys go, 10 tips to become an absolute roller demon. Now just before we can hop into that, unless you guys have been living under a rock, Season 16 is going to be changing so much in Apex, and some players might find all these changes a little bit overwhelming, but don't worry guys, because the GameLeap website is here to help. Over there we have top level coaches who are already planning to get no sleep on the release of Season 16 to get the best, most highly informative guides out to you guys. Now we already have over hundreds of guides on the site already that are exclusive to the website, so you won't find them anywhere else. And we have some new bangers coming out for the season. So click the link in the description, use code LOVEAPEX, get a massive discount, and when Season 16 drops, you'll be so far ahead of everyone else that you'll just easily fly through ranks. But okay, with that out of the way, let's get back into the controller tips. And tip number 1 is awareness. Now yes, this could be more of a general tip than a controller tip, but controller players, you guys really need to double down on this. There's one very big disadvantage that controller players have, and that is you cannot move while looting a death box. There are a few little tricks that you can do while in a death box, like before, if you jump, then you are kind of moving, but if you're in a death box for any extended period of time, you are going to be a sitting duck. But what separates good controller players and bad controller players is their awareness of surroundings. A good controller player will never really have an issue with standing still when looting because they know that the time is right. They understand that there's nobody around, there's very little risk about them hopping in the death box, and they're less likely to get caught. But bad controller players are just way too jumpy and they want to grab the loot right away. They don't look at their surroundings, they don't pay attention to what's going on, and they get absolutely beamed for it. If you're a controller player, then just take the extra little bit of time that it takes to make sure that the area is safe. Look around a little bit more, just double check. Yes, you might lose out on the gold light mag that's in that box, but it's worth it to keep your life and keep your game going. Another little thing that you guys can do as controller players is to just set up a sentry. Unless you absolutely have to loot right then and there and you're in dire need of it, then just wait your turn. Let your teammates loot while you keep watch over them, and then as soon as they're done, then they can watch over you. That way you know for sure that somebody is watching out for you and you're less likely to just get 3-2-1'd. I play with a lot of controller players and I usually try to look out for them a little bit more, and this has helped me keep my teammates alive a lot. So if you're in a 3-stack, just try implementing this. It'll save you a lot. Okay, now tip number 2, knockdown shields are a double-edged sword. Now me personally, I really do like knockdown shields. I think that they're a great addition to Apex and they're kind of a really cool mechanic because you can play around your teammates a little bit more, and even if you get downed in a fight, you can still be helpful by having a knockdown shield for your teammate. But for controller players, this can kind of screw you over because if you get into a fight with somebody that's behind knockdown shields, your aim assist can start to pick up the person that's on the ground. This can cause you to be missing a few shots and even lose a fight because you're not able to lock on the way that you normally do. It is very hard to fight aim assist when you're in those kind of battles, and some people might not even know what's going on. So they think that it's stick drift or something else and they chalk it up to that, but it's actually just the game's programming kind of messing with you a little bit. The best way that you guys can counter this is to just be mindful of it. When you're in a fight with knockdown shields, just know that you're gonna have to adjust your aim a little bit harder. Alternatively, you could just avoid fighting behind knockdown shields, but sometimes in an endgame situation, you're not going to be able to do that. So just always have this in the back of your mind, and if it happens, you'll know exactly how to counter it. Jumping into tip number 3 though, this is going on the same topic as knockdown shields, but this is to reload while behind a door or a teammate. Controller is very limited. They only have a few buttons that they can map, and sometimes they have to share functions, like how reloading is the same as your interact button, and it can be very annoying for some controller players. Now there are some settings that can help fix this, like the one where you have to hold the button to do it, but honestly it's kind of a band-aid solution and it doesn't really fix the main issue. The best way to reload your weapon while behind a door or knockdown shield is honestly just waste the extra couple bullets that you have in the magazine already. shoot them into the back of your teammates, shoot them into the door unless you have a charged up rampage. And once your gun is out, it'll automatically reload and you will be able to start the fight once again. This is a tip that I heard from Brother Enoch quite a while ago, and it was absolutely game changing for quite a few of my controller friends once they started to figure it out and implement it into their gameplay. It saved them quite a few embarrassing moments, so I'm sure it'll help you as well. Jumping into tip number 4 though, this is going to be talking about ALC settings. Now, I'm not actually going to be giving you guys any settings for this because there's no point in doing it. ALC is Advanced Look Control, and what this means is you are fine-tuning your own personal aim for your own controller. Everyone's controller is different. Everyone has different amounts of stick drift. Everyone has different kind of settings that they already have programmed into their controller. No controller is alike. They are their own unique entities. And yes, while ALC settings can help fine-tune most controllers, it's not going to work the same for everyone, and that can cause you to miss some shots. ALC settings are great to use if you actually want to use them. They're not 100% necessary, but instead of getting one blanket solution from somebody, watch a video on what ALC settings are and how to make them yourself. Go into the firing range, practice a little bit, fine-tune it for yourself, and then work on what you need personally. And while we're talking about sensitivity, let's talk about tip number 5, because this is to lower your sensitivity when possible. Now, I know that I'm gonna get some hate for this in the comments, but honestly guys, aim assist is very strong. You should be using it when you have the chance. It makes you guys so good in close range fights that you should be abusing it. But I see way too many controller players want to crank up their sensitivity because they see people doing weird, crazy movement techniques on YouTube and they want to replicate that. Don't get caught up in those crazy YouTube montages. It's not worth it for you as a player. Bring your sensitivity back down, because the lower the sensitivity, the more impact aim assist has and the better you will be in fights. Honestly, in close range fights, if you're missing more than like 40% of your shots, then you have way too high of sensitivity. A really good baseline starting sensitivity is 4-3 linear. This is one that a lot of controller pros use. It's a really good starting point. Try it out, see if you like it, tweak it around a little bit, and then go from there. Moving into tip number 6 though, this is going to be talking about Vantage. Now, I did talk about this one in my 15 things you didn't know about Apex video, but honestly, this is such a strong tip. I'm going to be putting it in here too because more people need to hear it. As a controller player, you guys do not get aim assist on anything that's more than a 4x scope. So when you're using sniper scopes like the 4-8 and the 6x, you are not getting any aim assist, and it makes sniping very hard for you. But a lot of controller players still like to snipe. They like to be that type of player. And if that is you, then you might want to check out Vantage. Vantage has a very strong ultimate that is a sniper rifle, but on top of that, it receives aim assist. So no matter how far away you are from somebody, you are actually getting aim assist values, and it can really help you dominate because Vantage Sniper is broken. Now, I still don't fully know why her sniper rifle gets aim assist. Somebody did comment on our 15 secret tips video that it might be because Vantage Sniper uses 3 times sensitivity, so it might register her scope as a 3x instead of actually a sniper scope, and that does make a lot of sense, but that's just a guesstimation, so for right now, I'm chalking it up to witchcraft. Now, tip number 7 is to abuse the firing range. Now, yes, technically, once again, this could just be a general tip for every player, but honestly, controller players, you guys need to be abusing the range more than mouse and keyboard players. There's a lot more distances and ranges that controller players are a lot less comfortable in that you might be finding yourself in. Once you start to get into the medium and long range fights, controller players start to lose a lot of their effectiveness, and I actually see a lot of controller players get really uncomfortable in those situations. Controller players' bread and butter is being up close and personal, but you guys need to hop into the firing range, grab a gun, back all the way up the hill, and just practice shooting at the dummies or the targets and getting used to those longer distances. Once you guys can actually start to control recoil in those distances, you can be so much more help to your team because you're not relying on the up close and personal fights. Back when I was still competing in tournaments, I used to actually play with a controller player who was good in every range, and he helped us win so many fights because in the long range ones, we weren't 2v3. He was able to beam no matter the distance, and that helps everyone so much. So hop into the firing range, practice it out, And even in Season 16, the firing range is getting a lot better. There's going to be more customization inside of it, so you're going to be able to abuse it a lot more than normal. But now let's talk about tip number 8, and this is for stick grips. Now there are quite a few different companies that make these types of things. They're just little knobs that go on top of your thumbsticks to give you a little bit more fine-tuning options when it comes to aim. They give you a little bit more of an edge. Now I did used to be a PS4 kid. I played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege, and a lot of the friends that I played with did use these thumb grips to help them out. They all said it helped them out with their aim, and they were really able to dial in on a few different sensitivities because they just had a little bit of extra range on their thumb grips, and it really helped them unlock a new level of play. Now I never used these personally, but quite a few of my friends did recommend a brand called Control Freaks. You can get them online. I don't know if they're in stores, but they're only like 20 bucks. They're actually super cheap, and it might be worth checking out to see if it does help you. But now jumping into tip number 9, this is to use button puncher layout. I see so many controller players panic melee when in fights because they start to get shot at when they're not expecting it. They hit their right thumbstick, they throw out a punch, and they die because of it because, you know, they're not able to do anything. With button puncher, this changes your melee to B or circle or whatever controller you're using, and it leads to less panic punches. But on top of that, you also get more reliable crouching because you don't have to take your thumb off of your thumbstick in order to crouch. It helps with slide jumping, it helps with crouch spamming, it helps you a lot in fights. It is the better layout. Now, if you have paddles, this will be different for you because you can start to map buttons to those paddles. But still, a lot of players don't have paddles. A lot of players still don't use this button layout. So make the swap, get used to it, and you'll thank me later. But now tip number 10, this is going to be talking about dead zones. Now, like ALC settings, this is going to be unique for everyone. Once again, do not fall into the trap that you should use X, Y, or Z dead zone. I see a lot of people jumping on TikTok, jumping on YouTube Shorts, and just saying, hey, use dead zone 0 because you'll have more responsive aim. But then somebody whose controller is like 40 years old and has been dropped multiple times, that has the insanest amount of stick drift, they're like, hey, I should do that too. And then they can't aim because their stick drift is all over the place. Dead zones can be helpful. I'm not trying to argue against that. But once again, it's not a one-size-fits-all setting. This is going to be unique for you and something that you're going to have to figure out. If you took somebody's advice and used a specific dead zone, maybe you might want to take a look at it and figure out what works better for you. Play around with it a little bit. Controllers are very finicky, and you're going to have to do a lot of work to figure out what works best for you. But let me know your favorite controller tip in the comments down below, and if you guys want to stay up to date with the latest and greatest Apex Legends tips, tricks, and news, don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Thank you guys all for watching. Once again, I'm 8 Second Gaming, and I'll see you guys in the next one.